Let's talk about New York.
Yeah.
Let's talk about New York. You know, there's over 1 million people right now in New York remaining unemployed. That's a big number, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, billions of dollars in budget cuts to essential services and institutions are beginning. Thousands remain eligible for state or federal unemployment assistance. In this moment of fiscal emergency, it would be a moral and economic failure for New York's legislature and executive to leave this money on the table. They're talking about the billions of dollars. Economists urge New York to hike taxes on billionaires. Progressive policies advocates are ramping up pressure for a wealth tax in New York as the state's budget hole grows, and neighboring New Jersey already has chosen to increase tax on millionaires. 50 economists from across the nation sent a letter to Cuomo and the state's legislative leaders this week in support of a proposal on 2 tax hikes on New York's billionaires. The letter arrived as the legislature gears up for a full session schedule that will largely revolve around resolving the state's more than $8 billion budget cap, which is expected to worsen in following years. Look, I mean, there's a bunch of people here involved that are saying we got to do something about it. The economists say the analysis also included in the envelope to state leaders predicts an immediate revenue bump to a tune of $23.3 billion and then an additional $1.2 billion in subsequent years while the pandemic continues to clobber economic. It's a scary time to be over there in New York. New York's billionaires increased their net worth during this period from March 18 to October 13 by 13.2%.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. You know, I used to be 100% against taxing the rich, the mega rich. They earn the money. It's their money. Why the hell should the government come in there and take a higher proportion of it? Screw that, right?
Yeah.
I got to tell you, I'm flipping. And I'll tell you why. It's because of the Zuckerbergs of the world and some of these other jokers, these billionaires that got Biden elected. Okay, this is what you wished for. Now you deal with it. I mean, you did not know that this was coming down the pike. And the other thing is, how can you trust the government to even do something? $23 billion extra for New York, they're going to screw that up somehow. You know, they just think low-hanging fruit. It's not like there's some visionaries that's going to fix infrastructure or do anything like that. So I say go get in California and New York, tax all those guys. The Google founders, Eric Schmidt, Dorsey, all these Biden fans, tax them. Do it. I mean, since they were so in favor of Biden and extra taxes, and they're the ones electing him, deal with the consequences. And I'll say another thing, too. Did you look at this panel of people that are recommending it? Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren. These are socialists/communists. I mean, calling the shots. Of course, they're going to want to take all the money from the rich. This is a scary thing. And here's the other thing, too. If these billionaires still live in a state where you're getting hammered locally by your state taxes, man, that's another thing. I mean, a lot of these smart guys have already bailed.
Tom, I'm confused by your answer. So you're the Republican who wants higher taxes on the wealthy. You're agreeing with Bernie and Ocasio-Cortez, but you think they're socialists and communists. I did not think you were going to go this direction. I thought you would have been really, really upset that they were going to tax the wealthy. You're confused these days. Trump's in, he's out. I respect the fact that you're not just going down, you're towing the company line. It's interesting. I respect it, though. Look, this is something that Cuomo has been talking about for a while. New Yorkers have been leaving New York in droves. Californians have been leaving California in droves. We've seen Silicon Valley people moving. This is scary. I mean, if you're already living in New York and you're a billionaire, you're already paying ridiculous taxes, whether it's income taxes, capital gain tax, state income tax, whether your firm might be in New Jersey. I saw one person who lives in New York, but their firm is in New Jersey, so they're paying New Jersey tax and New York tax. Something that you asked the other day is, at what point do you leave? And this is something that Cuomo needs to be very aware of. I mean, he offered sort of jokingly, like, don't leave, please, I'll cook you dinner. Remember that whole thing? Something that I do agree with Tom that he did mention, something that we've talked about, the K-shaped economy, where the rich get richer and the average working person, is struggling. And that's exactly what's going on here in New York, is that the rich have gotten richer.
Why?
Stock market, clearly. Why what?
Why have the rich gotten richer and the poor haven't gotten? Why are the poor getting poor, rich getting richer?
For the most part, it's the stock market. I mean, obviously, it depends on what you're defining as rich. If you're the working class person that literally has to show up to work, meaning you're a bartender, you're a waitress, you work for the airlines, you work in the hospitality industry, you're a hotel front desk person, and you have to show up to work and your work is getting shut down. I mean, you've highlighted many restaurant owners who have suffered This is out of your control. These businesses, I mean, you see what's going on in California. Those people have suffered tremendously. If you could work remotely from anywhere, and I'm sure we're going to talk about what still.
So what are you saying? Are you saying raise taxes? What is your point?
I'm not saying that you should raise taxes. I'm saying at what point when taxes do get raised, do these billionaires say, "Fuck it, I'm out. I'm moving to South Florida"?
What do you do? You give them counsel. New York's listening right now. Do you agree with Sanders and AOC saying raise taxes on the wealthy in New York, or what do you do?
I think at some point something's going to have to give. Are you going to listen
to
the? I mean, this is why Tom is even like, I don't know. Do I agree? Do I not agree?
I'm saying billionaires. I'm not saying millionaires should have their taxes raised, but these clowns, yes.
Why billionaires, not millionaires?
You know what? Because these people annoy me. Number one.
Why?
Because of how hypocritical they seem. How a lot of these people own social media companies, have started social media companies.
But these are New York.
These are New Yorkers. These are Wall Street people.
These
are not
I know
social media
companies. It's really hard for
me
me
to separate. So let's stay on New York. Let's stay on New York. But we can go to.
Okay.
Well,
these are Wall Street type people.
Why tax billionaires like as much as you can, but leave millionaires alone? Why tax billionaires but not millionaires?
Because I don't think the billionaires would feel it as much as the millionaires. But believe me, I am not in favor of more taxes at all.
How do you know that? How do you know that? How do we know that? How do we know that taxing billionaires, they're not going to feel it as much as millionaires are? How? How do we know that?
I'll just answer that by what Mark Cuban said one time. He says there's no describe the difference between being a millionaire that has $200 million of net worth as opposed to a billion. He says there's no comparison. I mean, you don't notice anything when you're a billionaire. So that's my baseline judgment on the fact that if they tax them for a few $100 million more, they'll figure something out or they won't even miss it.
Yeah, but how do you so do you tax the guy that averages 45 minutes a game because he's the best player in the league, and you tax him 10 minutes because he can afford it and give it to a lesser player? Is that what you do?
No.
So, but let me explain to where I'm going with this. So you guys, who's the best player in the league? Give me the best player.
LeBron, clearly.
Okay. So how many minutes does he average? 40 minutes a game?
45 minutes a game.
Let's just say he averages, it's not 45, it's 40 at this age. They're trying to get him at 39 to 40 minutes. Okay. I think it's too much. Tax the billionaire. It's LeBron. You got to bring him down to 30 minutes. It's not fair for him to get 39 minutes. Give the other 10 minutes to a bench woman to go play. But the point I'm trying to make is, here's a guy, LeBron, is getting underpaid. I'm not a LeBron fan. You guys know I'm not a LeBron fan. He's getting underpaid. He's getting an $85 million contract for 2 years. That's $42 million. Guy's a $100 million a year player. If Ronaldo's getting a $100 million a year contract, this guy's got to be getting a $100 million a year contract.
He's getting it off the court, but go ahead.
It's not the point. They're also getting it off the court.
True.
He should be getting $100 million. Why tax the billionaire? Here's a guy that spends $1.5 million on his body every year. Now, has he always been doing that? No. At 18 years old, he couldn't afford to spend $1.5 million on his body. But at 34 years old, when most of these NBA players at 34 that are kicking back, they've already made their $200 million, are starting to want to leave the league, and they put on weight, their belly comes out. You're looking at LeBron, look at the way he does. LeBron, to me, is the same thing as a billionaire is in New York, okay? If a billionaire, what do you call it, generational wealth transfer billion. I'm talking about the
legacy
self-made, the 64%, not the 64% of billionaires are self-made. Just so everybody knows this. 83% of millionaires are self-made. 64% of billionaires are self-made, which is what? 36% of them are not self-made.
Inherited
They got
wealth.
them. Yeah, set those aside.
Say those numbers again, please.
64% of billionaires, roughly, is self-made.
So 2 out of 3 billionaires
are self-made.
Self-made.
1/3 family, like a Walton, like one of those guys that got the money from the family.
8 out of 10?
83%, according to a Fidelity article, 83% of millionaires are self-made.
Sick.
Okay,
there's hope out there for all of us.
Did you get your money from your mom and dad?
No.
Yeah, you made your money based on who?
Life settlement.
You're a self-made guy, right? So this is the challenge. This is the part that we have to be very, very careful with, because we typically, indirectly, we will comfortably pass, not punishment, but pass the pain to somebody that is not us, okay? Full disclosure, I'm not a billionaire, so I'm not here sitting protecting billionaires. So it's not like I'm sitting here saying, hey, why are you defending billionaires so much? I think it's more like here's a question for me to talk to some of these politicians about. Hey, poor these people that are going through tough times and they're having such difficulties. Okay, no problem. Let's talk about them. What's your long-term goal for these guys? Give me your long-term goal for these guys. Say I'm poor. Say I'm not making a lot of money. Say I'm one of the guys that's unemployed right now. Say I'm one of the guys that's struggling right now. Say I'm one of the guys that you want to send $600 a month. What is your long-term goal and aspiration for me? You understand the question I'm asking?
I like that question. Because
What is
short term, you can give them a stimulus check.
What is
but
your
what's the
long-term
goal?
aspiration for me? Meaning, if yesterday, 2 days ago, Tico, I said something to my son, bothered me on Sunday. We're at lunch. I said something to him, really bothered me. Yesterday, I told Zena, I said, I got to get out of here. I went to school. I had to have the kid come out of class for me to go sit with them. And I said, I need you to look at me. He's holding my hands. He's thinking he's in trouble. I said, I just want you to know you're not in trouble. I said, Daddy said something yesterday stupid to you. And I'm just here to tell you, I was wrong. Don't listen to what Daddy said yesterday. That is wrong.
Say?
Whatever I said to him, it's a conversation. It's nothing it's nothing that you would Jennifer sitting there, kids are sitting there. It's nothing that was crazy.
Okay.
But I don't want him to think that he has to change as a human being to win in life, right? So I have to breathe life into my kid. I have to say, I believe you one day can be ... and manage expectation for life, right? You're working with me. When you came over here, I had to say, what, Adam, I believe one day you can be ... I cast the vision. Kai, one day I think you can run one of our companies and Valuetainment. You say, let's put $5-10 million into a company. This one day I believe, right? Okay, politicians. To the poor people that are struggling, asking money from you, you want to send them all these stimulus money. What do you envision me being one day? What is your goal with me? Tell me. What is your goal with me? It's a question. Is the goal for me to stay in this situation? Is the goal for me to constantly rely on the government? Would you be happy if I become a millionaire one day? Would it bother you if I become a millionaire? Would it bother you if I become a billionaire? Would you be bothered if I become the next Zuckerberg from a poor guy becoming a billionaire, creating 100,000 jobs? Would it bother you if I'm, Amazon, Jeff Bezos, and I create 1 million jobs? Would that bother you? Would you be offended by that, my politicians? Meaning, do you want me to get out of being poor?
Yes, of course. Yes.
I don't know if the answer is yes.
So you're saying you asked that to politicians?
I don't think.
How do they respond to that?
God,
No, I'm asking them, what is your outcome?
How do they respond to it?
It's not. I'm asking.
A Republican politician would say yes. Period.
Yeah. So okay. Let's just say a Republican politician says yes. So let's just say it is yes. Okay. Do you have a problem with me being a billionaire one day? Do you have a problem with me to have a rags to riches story, go from zero to being a billionaire one day? Does that bother you? Am I a bad person now? I was poor. I had nothing. You loved me because I voted for you. I busted my ass. I got out of being poor. You no longer have to send me a check. I take care of my family. I take care of everybody. You don't wake up in the morning saying, we have to bail out the BetDavid family. That's not something you think about anymore. I'm a billionaire now. Let's just say, if I become a billionaire, did I do something bad? Am I a bad person now? Am I like an evil billionaire rich guy that wants to abuse people? Is that what happened? Or are you sitting there saying, thank God, freaking one guy at least got 20,000 people working for him that we don't have to worry about paying those people, unemployment. Who's the hero? And who are we selling as a hero? So here, these guys are sitting on saying, well, let me tell you, New York is having a lot of problems because of stupid policies based on the politicians deciding to shut down all the restaurants. And these restaurants, statistically, we can't show that people are getting COVID from these restaurants. They could have worn masks. We could have set up a better situation on seating. But now that we're struggling because we shut down and threw so many restaurants out of business, let's tax the rich. Where the hell do you come out with this kind of a solution? You made the decision to shut down restaurants. Now you want to tax the rich? How the hell you come up with these policies? So I'm sorry, if you are in a bad financial situation right now, New York, is because your policies suck. So maybe you have to take an inventory of your policies. Don't every time when you screw up saying, let me go tax the billionaires. Because you know what the billionaire is going to say? Here's one thing you will never miss. I've always said this. Never in our business, we have builders, people that want to go out there and build a business, okay? You never, ever do anything to hurt your builders. In the philosophy of the book Barbarians to Bureaucrats, the guy talks about there's a prophet, he comes up with an idea. Then there's barbarians who are willing to go to war. Let's go do this. I believe in this, let's go. Then there's builders that are willing to build something. Let me build structure. Then there's explorers. We should go explore over here to see if we can build this business into Australia. We should go explore this market. Then comes the administrators. Oh, we should create some rules and regulations, which you need sometimes. Then shows up the bureaucrats and the aristocrats. You know who the bureaucrats and aristocrats are? Politicians. These are the guys that are sitting afterwards saying, well, now that we're running a big company with all this money here, I think what we need to do is spend that money and da-da-da-da-da. Who the hell are you? You ruin every company. You ruin every city. You ruin every state. You ruin every country. These bureaucrats and aristocrats, who knows what the hell they're talking about. Why don't you go create some jobs for people instead of going and taxing billionaires?
Okay, now listen, you make a very compelling argument for the billionaires, and here's my question. Why can't they say something for themselves? Here's my problem. Emotion creeps into this, okay? When you see something like this, what's our reference point? It's Michael Bloomberg, okay, who pumped $500 million into the state of Florida to beat Trump. Why aren't they saying something publicly that we want to protect our money? We don't want to elect these people that are going to tax us even more. I would like to hear it from them. And I don't. Same thing in California. You can't lump the two in together. But I wish there were a few more outspoken billionaires. Okay, they can't. Okay,
you know why
but
they
that's
can't?
unfortunate.
Why can't?
Because it's going to hurt their business.
Forget about Bloomberg. Forget about Bloomberg. Because Bloomberg is sitting in what situation? Bloomberg is worth $70 billion at this point. Okay. Bloomberg, you know what's $500 million to Bloomberg? It's the same as you having $70,000 and giving $5,000 to somebody. Okay, it's not even $70,000. $70,000. No. $70,000 and you're giving $500 to somebody.
Yeah.
That's what he did.
Yeah, $500.
If here's $500, bro, it's okay. Hey man, I'm running something. I'm doing a charity run. Can you give me some money? You got 70 in the bank. Here, cousin. Here's $500. What the hell is $500 million to a guy worth $70 billion? Nothing. I'm not talking about that guy. I'm talking about guys that are still building. So a lot of times these guys that are running a company, they can't say nothing because anything you say will be held against you.
Of course,
because most of the people that are working for you are not going to be the ones that are agreeing with this policy. Most of their employees are saying, tax the billionaire. Tax the billionaire. What they don't realize is, hey, you keep saying tax the billionaire is going to have to cut some of his employees, let go of 20% of his employees. Guess who pays the price? You do, because the same person, Queens business owners haunted by Amazon loss amid pandemic almost 2 years after the Amazon pulled out from a proposal to build a massive headquarters along Queens waterfront. The site is vacant. Same place.
Right, where Amazon was supposed to build.
And to many locals, the squandered economic opportunities even more painful amid the coronavirus pandemic. The site just sits there empty. It's terrible, said Donna Drimmer, owner of Maddit LLC art gallery and gift store. We're in the middle of a pandemic. People say if we only had Amazon, we got nothing. The world's largest retailer abruptly canceled its 25,000 job producing campus in February 2019 after being attacked ferociously by AOC and State Senator Mike Gianaris. So you keep pushing me out. I was going to bring 25,000 jobs. Minimum at $150,000 of your salary. You push me out. Oh, now you want me back? Yeah. So figure out who you guys want to bash at this point.
Well, here's my question for you. And you made obviously a very compelling argument here. They've said if you're going to become a billionaire, you have had to make thousands of jobs pop up out of nowhere, right? You've created these jobs. You're the job creator, right? Obviously, look at Jeff Bezos. Like he could have brought in how much money, how many jobs, how much salary into New York, and now that's evaporated. That's gone. So it's so easy for someone that's making 30 grand a year, 40 grand a year, unemployed, to be like, tax the billionaires. It's so easy for the Bernies of the world, for the AOCs of the world, to just scream, tax the billionaires, because who's going to be as impassioned as PBD and say, no, these are the job creators. These are the reason that you have things. Here's the solution. Here's the reason that if you do that, here are the ramifications. It's just so easy to scream, tax the billionaires. So here's my question to you. If you're New York, if you're the bureaucrats in New York, and you're like, look, bro, this is a stupid idea. This is dumb. We can't do this. They're going to leave. Cuomo's going to have to cook them dinner, what have you. On the flip side, what's your solution to that? What's your solution if there's a
I want to find a way to get them out of being poor. My goal is, I sat down with one of our guys last week. He's one of my employees. He sits with me to tell me his vision of what dream he has for what business he wants to build. You know what I did for 30 minutes with the guy? We sat there and came out with a plan for his dream to become a reality. He left fired up, confused. Why is this guy wanting my dream? So why not? We're sitting there processing it together with him, right? We're sitting there talking to him. I have one goal. I want you to stop being poor and have your own money so you can have a backbone, because the more savings you have, the more confidence you have. The more confidence you have, the better decisions you'll make. That's if you have strong character. If you got a bad character on the inside, more money you get, you're problematic to the economy. Okay, if you got a sort of weak character here. That's why you first develop the character, then you help that person succeed in life, right? So what do you do in a situation like this? Number one question, how do we minimize people being poor? So how do you do it? For example, if you make $100,000 your income, I make $50K. To me, what are you?
Double your salary. Doing
No.
great.
How do I view you? You ever remember when you were making? Man, think about when you were making 30 grand a year. How did you look at somebody that was making 70 grand a year?
That bastard.
No, but how'd you look at him? You kind of like, dude, I'd love to make 70 one day, right?
Yeah.
Imagine you're making 70. How did you look at the guy making 150? Like, oh,
You wanna get
brother,
there.
let me
Six
tell you.
figures.
Yeah, it's cool, man. I want to get to. You make. So at what point does that conversation not stop? Never.
Never. Right. Yeah.
Never. So that never. But it's always, well, he can afford it. 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 Well, he can. What do you mean he can afford it? How can he afford it? You can't afford it. I want to increase your number. So for me, if New York focuses on what do we need to do to get the bottom and the middle off to a good start where they can make money, get them back working, get them back generating, get them back rebuilding their confidence, then things are going to come back up. You don't sit there and say the solution to this, because taxing the billionaires is another short, quick fix. It's not going to be a long-term fix.
Are you basically saying that you want a bottom-up approach, not a top-down approach? Is that essentially what it comes down to? It's so easy to say trickle down, take the money and just sprinkle it down. But you're saying, look, let's grow these people. Let's grow their mindset.
So
let's grow their
yesterday,
jobs.
I get a text last night from
up.
one of my guys. I'm not going to say who it is, but I'll just read you what he says to me. So this is a guy that's a very capable guy. And for many, many years, I've been trying to see if this guy's going to get emotional or not to want to do something big. He's not.
Emotionally good or emotionally
Emotional
bad?
in a way where, listen, everybody needs some kind of an enemy to want to do something bigger.
Don't get too emotional.
No,
We talk about
not
this all
emotional the way you do. I'm not talking about like crying by the cubicles because Biden won. I'm not talking about that. By the way, did anybody end up getting a tissue or no? So he sends me a message.
I love it how I won the bet. I won, but I'm the one.
But wait a minute. When people win, they cry sometimes. It
was a good kind of tears.
It was a good kind of tears.
Just
It was
preface
very
it with the
impressive.
good
It was very
tears.
impressive.
I can't believe it.
So I'm talking to this guy. This
I
guy
got all
says,
these lunches coming
I'm
my
trying
way.
to find an enemy. I said, the right enemy for you will make you XYZ money per year. He says, one of my guys came up. We're brainstorming on who should be our enemy. I said, what's that? He sends me a message. I said, you need a true enemy. One that creates real emotion, okay? When you generally have it, like, the whole thing we're talking about earlier this morning with Logan Paul and Mayweather and then Jake Paul and all that stuff, and Jake Paul's calling out Conor, and the only person Jake Paul follows on Instagram is Conor's fiance, which is very weird. Dirty move.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, it's hilarious. Yeah, so now you, but that's a fake Hollywood enemy.
Yeah.
You give a good, like Mayorga de la Hoya, it's a real enemy.
Like how Jordan would create the enemies
It's
in
a
his
real,
mind.
if you got a real enemy, good things will happen. So he finally says to me, Pat, I'm really getting sold out on my best version. My enemy has become a negative media that perpetuates hate and lies to build to people to build division. Lack of understanding when it comes down to economic principles and laws, morality, abortion. I want to find ways to make change in homelessness at an all-time high, being worse and worse. He's going through it. So I asked him a question. What kind of emotion does it produce? He said, fire, purpose, level of anger, frustration, desire to protect, lead, and teach God. I spoke to the other leaders, and I couldn't stop, Pat. I couldn't stop. He texted me. I got emotional about it. I can't help. This is not an emotional guy, right? Okay. I want to get low-income and middle-income families to get emotional about their dreams and their purpose. It's such a basic, fundamental thing that we're talking about here. But if I get the bottom and the middle excited about their dreams becoming a reality, you'll be able to get rid of a lot of these issues that we're dealing with. If you get middle and low-income families excited about their dreams become a reality. Look, I've said this for the last... First time I started talking about this in this method was March of 2008. One time I got on stage, I was speaking in front of 7,000 people in Las Vegas, and I was given this message. I'm 28, 29 years old, and I'm talking exactly about this language. There's a difference between a politician speaking a nightmare language versus a dream language. A dream language to me is mesmerizing. A dream language energizes people. A dream language gets me to want to improve. A dream language gets me to want to get up and read a book. A dream language gets me to want to figure out a way to get better.
Like
and
what
compete.
Reagan used to talk about.
Yes. I'm talking we need, and by the way, even Obama talked to dreams when he was giving his first speech. Reagan talked to dreams. It's dreams. We need people dreaming again. Yeah. And we're not doing that. You don't just say, hey, here's what we got to do. No, let's dream again.
Yeah. Okay, couple things. Cuomo's philosophy is tax everyone. He's even saying taxes have to go higher in the middle.
Screw himself up.
He totally is, but I think we give these politicians too much credit right now. I don't, especially in New York. I don't think any of them are thinking big picture like you're saying. I think that's why I'm so ticked off and annoyed, because they're trying to get to a one-class system in this country, the way it seems. And that's not about creating your dreams and making something of yourself. It's to be more dependent on the government. And my problem with billionaires is the perception of so many of them who went so far over the top to try to get a Biden, who I lump into it with the rest of these New York politicians that just want to tax everybody, make you more reliant on the government. So some of these billionaires, I know they can't really say anything because they have big businesses, but the ones that talk the most give you a bad perception. It's bad marketing about the billionaire brand. It's hard to root for them because when they are so adamant about trying to get Biden in and destroy a fellow billionaire, Donald Trump, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't create a lot of sympathy for them. And it's hard to understand them.
I see what you're going. I see what you're saying. Again, this is New York we're talking about. Let's focus on this. A lot of the billionaires you're talking about are the Zuckerbergs of the world and the Tim Cooks of the world and the Silicon Valley. That's not these billionaires. A lot of these hedge fund billionaire types, I assume a lot did vote for Trump, especially regarding corporate taxes. So let's not just billionaires, they're all Democrats. I doubt that. Maybe the Silicon Valley-ass type people.
But I never said that. I said what they're saying doesn't jive with what their end game should be for being that wealthy.
Well, by the way, just so you know, Facebook is in a very dire situation right now with Biden's camp wanting them to separate the entire company up with WhatsApp and Instagram, all of them.
Break it up.
So break it up. Oh, yeah. I mean, your policies got you, the candidate that you got. Now they have to break you up. And now, guess what happens next?
Pay the piper.
What happens now is, hey, we can break you up if you don't listen to us, so you better ... So now this is where the negotiation happens.
Well, it's not just Biden's camp that's looking to break up Facebook. I mean, 46 state attorney generals
what I'm
tried
saying,
to do this.
No, what I'm saying to you, but didn't happen.
Well, no, it's actively going on as we speak.
But it's been actively going on for a long time now with what these guys are doing. Now they're going to be able to break these guys up, but will they break them up? I will be very surprised if those guys are broken up. Very surprised if those guys are broken up. Very. If they're broken up, more power to you. If they are.
Well, something that I know that you're not a fan of are monopolies.
I'm not a fan of monopolies.
Here's the other thing to consider, too. It's how much does China want them to be broken up, because they're going to have a say in it as well.